Part 2 of Pecos Bill, starting on page 34. Widowmaker reared up on his hind legs, his eyes rolling. "It's just a cyclone," Pecos Bill told his horse, patting the golden neck. But Widowmaker was scared and began bucking around so hard that when even Bill had a time staying in the saddle. "Whoa there," Bill commanded. "I couldn't ride that cyclone as easy as I could ride you, the way you're carrying on." That's when Bill had an idea. There might be rain mixed up in that cyclone tower. He nudged Widowmaker with his spurs and yelled, "Get up!" What Bill planned to do was leap from his horse and grab the cyclone by the neck. But as he came near and saw how high the top of the whirling tower was, he knew he would have to do something better than that. Just as he and Widowmaker came close enough to the cyclone to feel its hot breath, a knife of lightning streaked down to the ground. It stuck there, quivering, just long enough for Bill to reach out and grab it. As the lightning bolt whipped back up into the sky, Bill held on. When he was as high as the top of the cyclone, he jumped and landed astraddle its black spinning shoulders. By then, everyone in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Oklahoma was watching. They saw Bill grab hold of that cyclone's shoulders and haul them back. They saw him wrap his legs around the cyclone's belly and squeeze so hard the cyclone started to pant. Then Bill got out his lasso and slung it around the cyclone's neck. He pulled it tighter and tighter until the cyclone started to choke, spitting out rocks and dust. All the rain that was mixed up in it started to fall. Down below, the cattle and the coyotes, the jackrabbits and the horned toads stuck out their tongues and caught the sweet blue falling rain. Cowboys on the ranches and people in towns ran around whooping and cheering, holding out pots and kettles to catch the raindrops. Bill rode the cyclone across 3 states. By the time the cyclone reached California, it was all out of steam and out of rain, too. It gave a big sigh, trembled weakly, and sank to earth. Bill didn't have time to jump off. He fell hard, scooping out a few thousand acres of sand and rock and leaving a big basin below sea level. That what was made Death Valley. Bill was a greater hero than ever after that. Yet after times he felt almost as lonely as on the day when he had bounced out of his folks' wagon and found himself sitting alone under the empty sky. Widowmaker was good company most of the time, but Bill felt there was something missing in his life. One day he wandered down to the Rio Grande and stood watching the brown river flow slowly past. Suddenly he saw a catfish as big as a whale jumping around on top of the water, its whiskers shining like broomsticks. On top of the catfish was a brown-eyed, brown-haired girl. Somebody besides Bill exclaimed, "Look at Slewfoot Sue ride that fish!" Pecos Bill felt his heart thump and tingled in a way that it had never done before. "That's the girl I want to marry," he said. He waded out into the Rio Grande, poked the catfish in the nose, and carried Slewfoot Sue to a church. "You're going to be my bride," he said. "That's fine with me," said Sue, looking Pecos Bill over and seeing that he was the biggest, boldest, smartest cowboy who had ever happened to come along beside the Rio Grande. That was the beginning of a very happy life for Bill. He and Sue raised a large family. All the boys grew up to be fine cowboys, and the girls grew up to be cowgirls. The only time Bill and Sue had any trouble was Bill wanted to adopt a batch of baby coyotes who were orphans. "We're human beings," Sue said, "and we can't be raising a bunch of varmints." "I was a varmint once myself," said Bill. He argued so much that Sue agreed to take the coyotes in and raise them as members of the family. The coyotes grew to be so human that 2 of them were elected to the House of Representatives. Pecos Bill grew old, as everyone and everything does in time. Even so, There wasn't a bronco he couldn't bust, or a steer he couldn't rope, or a bear he couldn't hug to death faster and better than anyone else. No one knows for sure how he died, or even if he did die. Some say that he mixed barbed wire in his coffee to make it strong enough for his taste, and that the wire rusted in his stomach and poisoned him. Others say that one day he met a dude cowboy, all dressed in fancy clothes, who didn't know the front end of a cow from the side of a boxcar. The dude asked so many silly questions about cow punching that Pecos Bill lay down in the dust and laughed himself to death. But the cowboys back in the Pecos River country say that every once in a while, when the moon is full and puffing its white cheeks out, and the wind is crooning softly through the bear grass, Pecos Bill himself comes along and sits on the haunches and sings right along with the coyotes.